day 1127 of the Trump administration, leaving 257 days to go until the 2020 presidential election. And we begin tonight with sad word that funeral services are pending this evening after the death of Outrage earlier today. Outrage officially died of exhaustion, though buoyed at the very end by the one bright spot, the realization that his close relative Apathy survives and is thriving. We are obviously taking some poetic license here to underscore the gravity of the story that broke late in the day. First from the New York Times, later confirmed by NBC News, The Washington Post, and others. The headline is, "The Russians are in the midst of tampering with our next presidential election." More than that, the Times reports the effort is to tip the result to Donald Trump. The campaign, they say, will include tinkering with this year's Democratic primaries, getting Americans themselves to spread mistruths and divisions, and casting doubt upon close elections and recounts. The worst part of this reporting may be the reaction of the president upon learning that Congress had been told about all this. And here we quote from the New York Times. Intelligence officials warned House lawmakers last week that Russia was interfering in the 2020 campaign to try to get President Trump reelected. A disclosure to Congress that angered Mr. Trump, who complained that Democrats would use it against him. The day after the February 13th briefing to lawmakers, Mr. Trump berated Joseph Maguire, the outgoing acting director of national intelligence, for allowing it to take place. More on the outgoing part in a moment. The report continues. Trump cited the presence in the briefing of Representative Adam Schiff, the California Democrat who led the impeachment proceedings against him, as a particular irritant. The Washington Post first reported the Oval Office confrontation between Trump and Maguire. In the wake of all that, Trump yesterday indeed fired the acting DNI Maguire, removing any hope of getting the job on a permanent basis, and installed Richard Grenell as the new acting DNI. Grenell is the current U.S. ambassador to Germany. It's a job he plans on keeping while serving as acting DNI. He's been a vocal supporter of the president, happens to have no intelligence experience. Earlier on this network, former Obama CIA Director John Brennan expressed his concerns about the new man.
There's going to be somebody who is this loyalist to Trump who is going to oversee the 17 intelligence community agencies. Is he going to filter information? Is he going to shape it? It is something that I think a lot of professionals in the intelligence community are now looking at with a very, very worried expression.
Tonight, a Trump official is telling NBC News Grenell will not serve as acting director of national intelligence for long, and that the president, who backed this up with a tweet moments ago, will nominate a new director soon, possibly within days. This all comes a day after the White House ousted a top Pentagon official, John Rood, who pushed back on efforts to withhold aid to Ukraine, and they have reassigned senior national security aide Victoria Coates, the target of a whisper campaign accusing her of being the anonymous author behind that scathing New York Times op-ed of old. The White House has denied that rumor. Earlier this week, though, Trump claimed to know the identity of Anonymous.
I know who it is.
Who is it?
I can't tell you that. I know all about Anonymous.
On another front, Trump's longtime friend and advisor Roger Stone was sentenced in federal court today, just blocks from the White House. Judge Amy Berman Jackson gave Stone 3 years and 4 months. He was convicted last year of lying to Congress and threatening a witness in connection with his efforts for Trump's 2016 effort. Stone is the 6th Trump associate to be convicted in a case stemming from Robert Mueller's investigation. Today's sentencing follows intervention in the case from none other than the Attorney General William Barr. He got involved in the case after his boss complained publicly to his 70 million or so followers about the recommended sentence. During the hearing, the judge told Stone he, quote, was not prosecuted for standing up for the president. He was prosecuted for covering up for the president. And the president, for his part, had this reaction to the sentence.
And I'm following this very closely, and I want to see it play out to its fullest because Roger has a very good chance of exoneration, in my opinion. What happened to him is unbelievable. They say he lied. But other people lied too.
And now to the only thought that all conjures. Tonight, some Trump advisors are telling NBC News if the president indeed decides to pardon Roger Stone, they want him to wait until after the election so he doesn't risk turning off undecided voters in swing states. All of it a dramatic departure from the way our government has conducted itself on matters of national security and justice, which the Democrats mostly avoided in last night's debate.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.